So when's the wedding? There was a pause, just long enough for me to think the call had dropped. Then Ava's voice came back, bright and casual, like she was telling me about a sale at the grocery store. We got married yesterday. Yesterday. Not next month. Not next week. Not even tomorrow. Yesterday. As in, it already happened. As in, while I was watering my lilacs and meal prepping my lunches and teaching my Thursday seminar on patient advocacy, my son, my only child, the boy I pushed into this world 25 years ago, stood in front of someone and said, "I do," and I wasn't there. "Oh," I said, because what else do you say when the floor disappears beneath your feet? It was really spontaneous, Ava continued, and I could hear her smiling through the phone. We had this sudden opening in our schedules, and we just thought, why wait? Why wait? I had a dress picked out, navy, with a soft waist and pockets deep enough for tissues and mints. I had an envelope with a check that took me 3 months of night shifts to save. I had a card where I'd written and rewritten the perfect message about love and partnership and how proud I was. I was ready. But apparently, I wasn't invited. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Candace's story. If this is your first time here, welcome to our family. I'm Candace, and this is where we share real stories about real life, the messy, the painful, the beautiful, and everything in between. To my returning subscribers, my faithful family who shows up week after week, thank you. Thank you for trusting me with your time. Thank you for sharing these stories with people who need to hear them. Thank you for being here. You don't know how much it means to me that you keep coming back. Before we dive into today's story, I want to say a quick prayer for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're watching this on your lunch break, or late at night when you can't sleep, or while you're folding laundry or cooking dinner, I'm praying for you. Heavenly Father, I thank you for every single person watching this right now. Lord, you know what they're carrying. You know what heavy things they're holding that nobody else can see. I pray that you would lighten their load today. Give them strength for whatever they're facing. Give them wisdom for the decisions they need to make. Give them peace that doesn't make sense based on their circumstances. Remind them that they're not alone, that they're loved, and that you're working things out even when they can't see it yet. Protect their hearts, their minds, their families. And Lord, if there's something in this story today that they need to hear, let it reach them right where they are. In Jesus' name, amen. Now, let me tell you about the day I learned that being ready to show up doesn't always mean you're chosen to be there. It was a Thursday in late spring, the kind of day where everything feels possible, where the air smells like flowers and fresh starts. I was in my kitchen, looking out the window at the lilacs that were in full bloom, holding their purple like a secret they weren't quite ready to tell. I'd been thinking about Tyler's wedding all week. He and Ava had been engaged for 6 months, and every time I tried to ask about dates or venues or plans, they'd say, "We're still figuring it out, Mum. We'll let you know." So that Thursday, I decided to just ask directly. No pressure, no pushing. Just a simple question. I picked up my phone and called Ava. She answered on the third ring. "Hey!" Her voice was bright, hurried, the way weather sounds right before it breaks. "Hey, sweetheart," I said, trying to keep my voice light. "I was just wondering, have you guys set a date yet? For the wedding?" "Oh," she laughed, and I heard movement in the background, like she was doing something else while talking to me. "Actually, funny you should ask. We got married yesterday." I froze. My hand gripped the edge of the kitchen counter so hard my knuckles went white. You… what? We got married. Yesterday. It was so spontaneous and perfect. We just… we had this opening in our schedules and we thought, why wait? Why make it this big, stressful thing when we could just do it? I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process the words coming through the phone. You got married, I repeated slowly. Yesterday. Yes, I know, it sounds crazy. But honestly, Nora, it was so beautiful, so intimate. Just us and a few special people. No stress, no drama, just love. Special people. I stood there in my kitchen, staring at the lilacs, and that phrase echoed in my head like a gong. Special people. Which apparently I was not. Mom? You still there? That was Tyler's voice now. He must have taken the phone from Ava. I'm here, I managed to say. I know this is probably a surprise. A surprise. I laughed, and it sounded wrong even to my own ears. That's one word for it. We were going to tell you, he said quickly. It happened so fast, and we didn't want to make a big deal out of it. You didn't want to make a big deal, I said slowly, out of your wedding. You know what I mean, Mom. We just wanted it to be simple, easy, no fuss. No fuss. I thought about the dress hanging in my closet, the envelope in my desk drawer, the months I'd spent imagining this moment, walking into a venue decorated with flowers, seeing my son in a suit at the front of a room, watching him promise his life to someone. I'd been ready for that moment, but that moment had happened yesterday, without me. Can I at least see a picture? I asked, and I hated how small my voice sounded. Of course. Ava's sending you one right now. My phone buzzed. I pulled it away from my ear and looked at the screen. There they were. Ava in a white jumpsuit, modern, sleek, expensive looking. Not a rushed choice. This was something she'd picked out carefully, probably weeks ago. Tyler in a blue suit I'd never seen. Crisp, tailored, new. They were standing on what looked like courthouse steps, sunlight streaming down on them, holding a small bouquet of pale flowers. They looked like actors in a magazine ad. Beautiful. Happy. Complete. And I had never seen that suit before, which meant he'd gone shopping for it, planned for it, bought it specifically for this day that he never told me about. I zoomed in on the photo. Ava's left hand was visible, and there it was. A thin gold band, catching the light. My son was married, and I'd found out after it was already over. It's a beautiful picture, I said, because what else could I say? We'll do something with everyone later, Tyler said quickly. A dinner or something, to celebrate. We just wanted the actual ceremony to be private. Private. That word hung in the air between us like a wall I couldn't climb over. Okay, I said. Okay. You're not mad, are you? Ava's voice came back on the line. We really didn't want anyone to feel left out. It wasn't personal. Wasn't personal. How could it possibly be more personal? No, I'm not mad. I lied. I'm surprised. But congratulations, really. I hope you're both very happy. We are, Ava said, and she sounded so genuinely cheerful that I almost believed she didn't understand what she'd done. We're so happy, Nora. Thank you for understanding. Of course, I said. I have to go. I have a class to teach. But congratulations again. Love you, Mom, Tyler said. Love you too, I answered automatically. And then the call ended. I stood there in my kitchen, phone still in my hand, staring out at the lilacs. Yesterday, I said out loud to them, as if they might rearrange time, as if they might rewind the last 24 hours and give me a chance to be there. But time doesn't work that way, and the lilacs just swayed in the breeze, indifferent to my breaking heart. I don't know how long I stood there. Long enough for my coffee to go cold on the counter, long enough for the sunlight to shift across the kitchen floor. I kept replaying the conversation in my head, looking for clues I'd missed. Had there been signs? Had they been planning this for weeks? Months? The white jumpsuit wasn't something you just grab off a rack the day before your wedding. That was chosen, fitted, purchased with intention. The blue suit was new. I knew Tyler's wardrobe. I'd done his laundry for 18 years, helped him pick out his prom tux, his graduation suit, his job interview outfits. That blue suit was a stranger, which meant this wasn't spontaneous at all. This was planned, carefully, deliberately planned. And the plan had been to not tell me. I looked at the photo again, studied their faces. They weren't stressed. They weren't rushed. They looked peaceful, happy, like people who'd made exactly the choice they wanted to make. And that choice hadn't included me. I set my phone down on the counter before I threw it across the room. Then I walked to my bedroom, to the closet where I'd hung the dress. Navy, classic, appropriate, with pockets deep enough to carry tissues for happy tears and mints for after the reception dinner. I'd tried it on 3 times to make sure it fit perfectly, had it dry cleaned just in case. Kept the tags on, but protected, so I could return it if needed. I took it off the hanger now, smoothed the fabric with my hands, and then I folded it carefully and put it back in the plastic garment bag. Zipped the bag closed. Hung it in the very back of the closet where I wouldn't have to look at it. Some things, I thought, you prepare for your whole life, and then they happen without you. I still had to go to work. That was the surreal part. The world didn't stop just because mine had tilted sideways. I had a seminar to teach at the hospital. 12 new hires who needed to learn about patient advocacy, about dignity, about including patients in decisions that affected their lives. The irony wasn't lost on me. I changed into my work clothes, pinned my instructor badge to my collar, and drove to the hospital on autopilot. Parked in my usual spot, took the elevator to the 3rd floor, walked down the familiar hallway to the training room. The new hires were already there, sitting in rows, notebooks open, pens ready, young faces, eager and nervous. They looked at me like I had answers. I smiled at them. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that sounds simple, but is actually one of the hardest parts of healthcare. Treating patients like people. I launched into my presentation, talked about autonomy, choice, dignity, the importance of including people in decisions about their own lives. When someone is in a hospital bed, I said, it's easy to start making decisions for them, to assume you know what's best, to move forward with plans without asking what they want, but that person is still a person. They still have agency. They still deserve to be included. One of the new hires raised her hand. But what if they don't know enough to make the best choice? Then you educate them, I said. You give them the information they need, but you don't take the choice away. Because the moment you start making decisions about someone without including them, you're telling them they don't matter, that their presence isn't important, that you know better than they do about their own life. I stopped, heard my own words, felt them land in my chest like stones. The new hires were nodding, taking notes. They didn't know that I was teaching myself as much as I was teaching them. The training session ended at 3 o'clock. I dismissed the class and started packing up my materials. That's when I noticed the table at the back of the room. One of the legs was wobbling, barely attached. A maintenance card must have clipped it earlier. The seam where the leg met the apron was split clean open. I went down to facilities to report it. "Conference room 3, I told the guy at the desk. "Table's broken. Leg's about to fall off." He made a note. "We'll send someone up." I went back upstairs, finished some paperwork, and headed out for the day. But when I walked past conference room 3 on my way to the parking lot, I stopped. The table was back in place. The leg was fixed. The wood was sanded smooth where the varnish had chipped. And next to the table was a small business card. I picked it up. "Harbour Joinery Custom Woodwork and Repair Graham." The signature was just a pencil line, loose and confident. I turned the card over in my hands. Someone had seen something broken and fixed it. No fuss, no drama, just repair. I slipped the card into my pocket and walked to my car. That evening, I sat in my living room with the lights off, looking at the photo Tyler and Ava had sent. I zoomed in on details. The bouquet, pale roses, maybe peonies, tied with a simple ribbon. Someone had chosen those, ordered them or bought them, held them while vows were exchanged. The courthouse steps, worn stone, probably downtown. I knew that building. I'd driven past it 1,000 times. The photographer, someone had taken this picture, stood there, framed the shot, clicked the button. "Smile," they probably said. And my son had smiled for a stranger while his mother sat in a classroom teaching nurses about dignity. I set the phone down, went to my desk, opened the drawer where I'd put the envelope, took it out. Inside was the check I'd written 3 months ago. The memo line said, "For Tyler and Ava, congratulations and all our love." I looked at the amount. It represented weeks of night shifts, holding the hands of dying patients, explaining diagnoses to terrified families, standing on my feet until my back screamed, managing crises I couldn't fix, bearing witness to grief I couldn't ease. It represented hours of my life, pieces of my energy, the resource of my own body and time, converted into dollars, offered as love. I'd written this check imagining their faces when I gave it to them, imagining Tyler's surprised gratitude, Ava's grateful hug, imagining them saying, "Mom, you didn't have to do this," and me saying, "I wanted to," but they'd gotten married without me. And I realized something. I'd been doing this for years, writing checks, offering money, paying for things. Tyler needed a security deposit. I wrote a check. Ava's car needed repairs. I offered to help. They wanted to take a trip. I sent money. I'd been buying my way into their lives. And somewhere along the way, I'd started to believe that's what made me valuable. That's what made me necessary. The money. Not me. Not my presence, my wisdom, my love. Just the money. I looked at the check again. And then I tore it in half. The sound of ripping paper was louder than I expected. I tore it in half again. Then I walked to the small office nook where I keep the paper shredder, fed the pieces in one at a time, watched them turn into confetti, listened to the mechanical teeth chew up 3 months of night shifts and all the love I'd tried to buy. When it was done, I stood there, staring at the shredder. My hands were shaking, not from anger, from something else, something that felt almost like relief. The next morning, there was a knock on my screen door. I looked up from my coffee to see June letting herself in, a white bakery bag in one hand. June is my next-door neighbour, has been for 12 years. We have that kind of friendship where keys aren't needed and knocking is optional. She set the bag on my kitchen table and poured herself a cup of coffee from my pot like she owned the place. Then she looked at me. "Okay," she said. "What happened?" I hadn't called her, hadn't texted, but June has a sixth sense for disaster. "Tyler got married," I said. "Oh." Her face lit up. "That's wonder. Yesterday." Her face changed. "Yesterday. Yesterday." She set her coffee cup down slowly, pulled out a chair, sat down. "Tell me everything." So I did. I told her about the phone call, the casual way Ava said it, the photo, the white jumpsuit and the blue suit and the special people caption, the way Tyler said it was spontaneous, but the evidence said it was planned. June listened without interrupting. When I finished, she pressed one hand flat against the table, like she was steadying a ship that had started to list. "Honey?" she said, in the voice she uses when she's about to tell you something you need to hear but won't want to. "Sit." I am sitting. "Sit more." I almost laughed. June stood up, picked up both our coffee cups, and jerked her head toward the front door. "Outside. Now." We went out to the front steps. The morning was cool, the kind of cool that cuts through a sweater and feels honest, clarifying. We sat side by side on the concrete steps, holding our coffee, watching the neighborhood wake up. A man across the street was walking his dog. A woman 3 houses down was getting into her car for work. Normal life, continuing like nothing had happened. "They can do what they want," June said finally. "They're grown." I waited for the but. It didn't come. "They get to make their own choices," she continued. "Even stupid ones. Even hurtful ones. That's what being an adult means." I nodded, throat tight. "But," June said, and there it was. "You get to decide what story you tell yourself about this." I frowned. "What do you mean?" She turned to look at me. "You can tell yourself the story where you failed somehow, where if you'd been different, or better, or less, or more, they would have wanted you there. You can make this about what's wrong with you." I opened my mouth to argue, but she held up a hand. "Or," she said, "you can tell yourself the story where they made a choice that hurt you, and now you get to decide what happens next. What you'll tolerate, what you won't, who you'll be in this new version of your relationship." I stared down at my coffee. "What do you need?" June asked quietly. "That doesn't depend on their good behavior?" The question hit me like cold water. What did I need? I needed an apology, but I couldn't force one. I needed to understand why. But even if they explained, would it help? I needed to feel like I mattered, but I couldn't make them make me matter. "I need," I started, then stopped. Tried again. "I need to not buy my way into love." The words came out before I knew I was going to say them. June nodded slowly. "Okay, that's a start." "I've been doing that, haven't I?" I asked. "Writing checks, offering money, making myself useful so I'll be wanted." "You've been generous," June corrected gently. "But yeah, sometimes generosity is about love, and sometimes it's about fear. Fear that if you stop being useful, people will stop wanting you around." I felt tears prick my eyes. "And the thing about that," June continued, "is that it doesn't work. Because people who only want you when you're useful, they're not really wanting you at all." We sat in silence for a while, drank our coffee, watched the neighborhood move through its morning routine. Finally, June stood up. You know what you need to do? What? You need to talk to them, not to yell, not to guilt trip, just to establish what happens now, what this relationship looks like going forward. I don't even know what I want it to look like, I admitted. Then figure that out first, June said, and then tell them. She squeezed my shoulder and went back to her own house, leaving the bakery bag on my counter. I sat on the steps for a long time after she left, thinking about what I needed, what I wanted, what I could control, and what I had to let go. That afternoon, I texted Tyler. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a long time before I finally typed, "Can we meet for coffee? Just to talk." I watched the 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. Finally, "Sure. Tomorrow? There's a place halfway between us." Halfway. Neutral territory. "Okay," I texted back. Nothing else. No, I love you. No, looking forward to it. Just okay. I spent the rest of the day not preparing. Usually I'd rehearse what to say, plan my approach, script the conversation in my head until I had every possible response mapped out. This time, I didn't. I didn't know what to say. And somehow, that felt more honest than any script I could write. The coffee shop was one of those places trying too hard to be quirky. Exposed brick walls, Edison bulbs hanging from the ceiling, a chalkboard menu with unnecessary apostrophes in words like lattes and cookies. The barista was a young guy with a man bun and a friendly smile. "What can I get for you?" "Just a black coffee," I said. "Coming right up. And just so you know, I draw little hearts in all the foam. It's kind of my thing." "It's black coffee," I said. Right. He laughed, embarrassed. Yeah, 1 black coffee." I paid, took the cup, and chose a table by the window. Not too secluded. I didn't want this to feel like an interrogation. Not too exposed. I didn't need an audience if things went badly. I sat down and waited, watched the door. Every time it opened, my spine straightened involuntarily, and then they walked in. Tyler and Ava together, fingers barely touching, the way people hold hands when they're not sure if they should. Tyler saw me first. His face did something complicated. Guilt, defensiveness, love, fear, all at once. Ava's face smoothed into her professional smile, the one I'd seen her use at events, managing vendors, soothing difficult clients. They walked over. "Hey, Mum," Tyler said. "Hey." I gestured to the chairs across from me. "Sit." They sat. An awkward silence filled the space between us. Tyler looked at the table. Ava looked at me with that calm, assessing expression she probably practiced in the mirror. I decided to break the script. "That was a beautiful jumpsuit," I said to Ava. "In the photo. Very elegant." She blinked, surprised. "Oh, thank you." "And Tyler, that blue suit looked great on you. I don't think I've seen it before." "It's new," he mumbled. I figured. I took a sip of my coffee. It was bitter and too hot, but I drank it anyway. "The ring is lovely too, Ava. Simple? Classic." "Thank you," she said again, softer this time. Another silence. Tyler shifted in his seat. "Mum, Let me say something first," I interrupted gently. "And then you can talk. Okay?" He nodded. I took a breath. "I want you to know that I'm happy you're married. I'm happy you found each other. I'm happy you're building a life together." Tyler's shoulders relaxed slightly. "But I'm also hurt," I continued. "I'm hurt that you didn't tell me, that you planned a wedding. And it was planned, Tyler, I can see that. and you chose not to include me." "It wasn't like that," he started. "Let me finish," I said, not unkindly. "I'm not telling you this to make you feel guilty. I'm telling you because I need you to know where I stand. I was ready to be there. I wanted to be there." "And you didn't want me there. That's the truth, isn't it?" Ava's professional mask slipped for just a second. I saw something raw underneath. Shame, maybe, or fear. "It happened fast," Tyler said, looking at the table instead of at me. We wanted it to be simple." "Simple," I repeated. "You bought a new suit. Ava bought a jumpsuit. Someone took professional-looking photos. You had a bouquet. Someone was there to witness." "Tyler, that's not simple. That's planned." "We didn't want to wait," Ava said, her event coordinator voice kicking in. "We didn't want to deal with all the stress of a big wedding, family expectations, seating charts, all of that. We just wanted it to be about us." "I understand that," I said. "But you could have told me. You could have said, 'Mum, we're getting married on Thursday. It's going to be just us. We'll celebrate with everyone later.' You could have given me that." Tyler finally looked up at me. His eyes were wet. I didn't know how. How to tell me. How to tell you without you trying to fix it, without you offering to pay for things, or plan things, or make it bigger than we wanted. The words hit me like a slap. Because he was right. That's exactly what I would have done. I would have offered to pay for a venue, suggested a caterer, asked about guest lists, inserted myself into their simple plan until it became my plan. I sat back in my chair. "You're right," I said quietly. Tyler looked shocked. "What?" "You're right. That's what I would have done. I would have tried to make it into something bigger, something that included me." Ava reached across the table like she was going to touch my hand, then thought better of it. "It wasn't about you, Nora. It really wasn't. But it also wasn't for me," I said. "And that's okay. It was your wedding, your day, your choice." I paused. "But now I get to make choices too." Tyler frowned. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I need to figure out what our relationship looks like now, what I'm comfortable with, what boundaries I need." "Boundaries?" Tyler said the word like it was foreign. "Yeah, boundaries." I took another sip of coffee. "I'm not angry. I'm not going to punish you. But I'm also not going to pretend this didn't hurt. And I'm not going to keep showing up the same way I always have if that's not what you want." "We do want you in our lives," Ava said quickly. "We really do. We're planning a dinner, something nice with everyone, to celebrate." "That's kind of you," I said. "And I'll come. But I need you both to understand something. I'm not an ATM. I'm not a safety net. I'm your mother, Tyler, and I love you. But I can't love you in a way that makes me smaller. Do you understand?" Tyler's face crumpled. "Mom, I never wanted you to feel small." "I know, but that's what happened. And now we get to figure out what happens next." The silence that followed wasn't comfortable, but it was honest. Finally, Tyler spoke. "What do you need from us?" It was the first time he'd asked that question, maybe ever. "I need honesty," I said. "I need you to tell me the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. And I need you to let me be a person, not just a problem solver." "Okay," he said. "Okay." Ava nodded. "We can do that." "Good." I stood up. "I'm going to get the check." "Mom, you don't have to." "I know I don't have to," I said. "But I want to, this time." I paid for their coffees at the counter. When I came back, Tyler stood up and hugged me. It was brief, tight, the kind of hug that says, I love you, and I'm sorry, and I don't know how to fix this? I hugged him back. Ava hugged me too. Professional. Appropriate. But there was something softer in it this time. Thank you for understanding, she said. I'm trying, I said. And then I left. I cried in the car, not sobbing, just quiet tears that slid down my face while I drove home. I'd done the right thing. I'd been calm, honest, mature, and it had cost me everything I had. When I got home, I went straight to my bedroom, opened the closet, took out the garment bag with the navy dress, looked at it for a long time. Then I put it back. Not because I forgave them, but because I forgave myself for being ready, for hoping, for wanting to be there. 2 weeks passed. I went to work, taught my classes, came home, lived my life. Tyler and I texted occasionally. Small things. How was your day? Fine. Yours? Good. It felt like we were strangers being polite. And maybe, for now, that's what we were. One afternoon, I had back-to-back training sessions at the hospital. The second session ran long, and by the time we finished, I was exhausted. As the last trainee filed out, I noticed another maintenance issue. A different table this time. Not broken exactly, but wobbling badly. One of the wheels had come loose. I sighed, made a note, and headed down to facilities. The same guy was at the desk. He looked up and grinned. Conference room 3 again? Conference room 5 this time. Wobbly table. I'll send Graham up. I paused. Graham? Yeah. The guy who fixed the last one. He's our contractor for the fancy repairs. Does good work. Oh, okay, thanks. I went back upstairs, finished packing up my materials, and was about to leave when I heard footsteps in the hallway. A man appeared in the doorway, carrying a toolbox that looked both heavy and well-loved. He was maybe 50, maybe older. Greying hair, kind eyes, the kind of hands that had fixed a lot of things. You must be Nora, he said. The instructor who cares about corners? I blinked. I'm sorry? He smiled. Guy downstairs said you're particular about the furniture being solid. Said you won't teach a class with wobbly tables. I respect that. I don't like splinters, I said, surprising myself with the truth. Neither do I. He set his toolbox down and extended a hand. Graham, harbour joinery. I shook his hand. Nora. I know. I fixed a table for you a couple weeks ago. Left my card. Oh, yes. Thank you for that. It was good as new. That's the goal. He knelt down next to the table, examining the wheel. Mind if I work while we talk? Or do you need to leave? I don't need to leave, I said, surprising myself again. So I sat in one of the chairs and watched him work. There was something calming about it, the way he moved with purpose, the way he didn't rush. What do you teach? He asked, pulling a wrench from his toolbox. Patient advocacy. I'm a nurse instructor. Important work. I think so, although some days it feels like I'm just teaching people how to care when they don't want to. He glanced up at me. Caring is a muscle. Some people have to build it from scratch. I liked that. What made you become a woodworker? My dad was a carpenter. I grew up in his shop. Sawdust and wood glue. The smell of it still feels like home. He tightened something on the wheel, tested it. Started doing it full-time about 10 years ago, after my daughter finished high school and the house got too quiet. I know that feeling, I said. The quiet house. He looked at me then. Really looked. Yeah, I bet you do. We were quiet for a moment. He went back to work, and I watched. People think wood is stiff, he said after a while. Solid, unchanging. But it's not. Wood moves, it breathes, it expands and contracts with the weather. If you try to force it, if you don't respect what it wants to do, it'll fight you. You'll hear about it later. Cracks, warping, splits. It's like people, I said. He glanced up at me again. And this time he smiled. Exactly like people. He finished with the wheel, tested the table. It didn't wobble. Good as new, he said, standing up. Thank you. How much do I owe you? Hospital has an account. You don't owe me anything. Well, thank you anyway. He packed up his toolbox. You know, if you ever need anything fixed at home, I do house calls too. Not trying to drum up business, just you seem like someone who appreciates things being done right. I smiled. I am. I'll keep that in mind. He handed me another card. Have a good evening, Nora. You too, Graham. He left, and I sat there for a moment longer, holding his card. Something about the conversation had settled something in me. Wood moves. It breathes. If you force it, you'll hear about it later. I thought about Tyler. About how I'd been trying to force myself into his life, trying to make myself necessary, and how that had only pushed him further away. Maybe it was time to stop forcing. Maybe it was time to just breathe. I drove home slowly, letting the evening settle around me. When I got to my neighborhood, I noticed June in her front yard, watering her flower beds. I pulled into my driveway and got out. Hey, neighbor, she called. Hey, yourself. She turned off the hose and walked over. You look different. Good different. I met someone today. Her eyebrows shot up. Oh? Not like that. A carpenter. Fixed a table at the hospital. We just talked. But it was nice to talk to someone who wasn't part of all the mess. June smiled. Sometimes that's exactly what we need. A conversation that doesn't cost anything. Yeah. I looked up at my house. The porch light was on, warm and welcoming. I'm okay, June. I think I'm actually going to be okay. I never doubted it, she said, but I'm glad you're figuring it out. That night, I made myself dinner. Nothing fancy, just pasta and salad. But I set the table properly, used a real plate instead of eating out of the pot, poured myself a glass of wine, sat down and ate slowly, tasting every bite. It felt like the first meal I'd really eaten in weeks. After dinner, I washed the dishes by hand, even though I had a dishwasher. There was something meditative about it. The warm water, the soap bubbles, the repetitive motion. When I was done, I dried my hands and walked to my desk, opened the drawer where I'd kept the envelope. It was empty now. The shredded check long gone, but the book was still on the shelf. I took it down, unwrapped the brown paper I'd wrapped it in, held it in my hands. It was a collection of essays about marriage, about partnership, about choosing someone every day, even when it's hard. I'd marked a passage with a sticky note. I opened to it now and read, "Love is not a single choice made once. It is 1,000 small choices made daily to see someone and be seen. To stay when leaving would be easier. To forgive when holding a grudge would feel justified. To build a life, brick by brick, knowing that storms will come and some bricks will fall, and you'll have to rebuild. Again and again. That's the work. That's the love." I read it twice. Then I closed the book and set it back on the shelf. Someday, maybe, I'd give it to Tyler and Ava. Or maybe I'd keep it for myself. Either way, it was mine to decide. The next Saturday, I decided to go for a walk downtown. It was one of those perfect June mornings, sunny but not too hot, a breeze coming off the water. The kind of day that makes you remember why you live where you live. I walked without a destination, just letting my feet carry me. Past the bookstore, the coffee shop, the ice cream place with the line that's always too long. And then I found myself on the street where I'd seen the sign. Harbour Joinery, Graham's shop. It had big windows and small displays, a stool made of light maple, a mirror framed in dark walnut, a cutting board so beautiful it made you want to cook for someone who'd appreciate it. I stood outside for a moment, debating. Then I pushed the door open. A bell chimed overhead. The shop smelled like wood oil and something clean. Sawdust, maybe. Fresh lumber. Graham emerged from the back, wiping his hands on a rag. When he saw me, he smiled. "Nora, what a nice surprise." "Hi, I was just walking by and thought I don't know. See the place?" "Well, welcome. Look around. Touch things. That's what they're here for." I walked slowly through the shop, running my fingers over smooth wood surfaces. Everything was so carefully made. Precise joints, sanded edges, the kind of work that takes time and attention. "You make all of this?" I asked. "Most of it. Some pieces I collaborate on with other craftspeople. But yeah, mostly me. It's beautiful." "Thank you." He leaned against the counter. "Can I make you something? A cutting board? A shelf? A small table?" "I don't need anything, really. I trailed off, not sure how to finish the sentence. "You just wanted to be somewhere that felt solid," he said. I looked at him, surprised. "Yeah, actually." He nodded. "I get that. That's why I built this place. After the divorce, after my daughter left for college, the house felt like an echo chamber. So I bought this shop, filled it with wood and tools and projects, made it feel solid again." "Does it work?" I asked. "Most days." He smiled. "Some days I still hear the echoes, but the work helps." I picked up a wooden spoon from a display. It fit perfectly in my hand, the handle worn smooth. "I'll take this," I said. "You don't have to buy anything." "I know, but I want to." He wrapped it in brown paper, like it was precious, wrote my name on the bag with a carpenter's pencil. "Thank you," I said. "Come back any time," he said. "Even if you don't need anything." I left the shop feeling lighter than I had in weeks. Summer arrived in full force. The city filled up with tourists. The harbour buzzed with ferry boats and sailboats and kayaks. The streets smelled like sunscreen and fried seafood. I went to work, taught my classes, came home. Tyler and I texted more regularly now. Nothing deep, but more than before. He sent me a picture of a sunset from their balcony. I sent him a picture of a ridiculous-looking cat I saw on my walk. Small things, but things. One Friday evening, June knocked on my door with an invitation in her hand. "There's a fundraiser at the Lighthouse Museum next week," she said. "They're trying to raise money for restoration. There'll be food, music, silent auction. You should come." "I don't know." "Nora, you've been in this house every night for weeks. Come out. Be around people. It'll be good for you." She was right. "Okay," I said. "I'll come." "Good. Wear something nice. Not the navy dress. Something that makes you feel like you." The night of the fundraiser, I stood in front of my closet for 20 minutes. Not the navy dress. June was right about that. I pulled out a dress I hadn't worn in years. Deep green, simple lines. It made me feel elegant without trying too hard. I put it on, looked at myself in the mirror. I looked good. Not trying too hard good. Just good. I drove to the Lighthouse Museum as the sun was setting, turning the sky pink and orange and gold. The event was on the lawn outside the museum, overlooking the water. String lights crisscrossed overhead. A small band played jazz in one corner. Tables were set up with appetizers and drinks. It was beautiful. I grabbed a glass of wine and walked around, looking at the silent auction items. A weekend at a bed and breakfast, a private sailing lesson, a custom woodworking project from... I stopped. Harbour Joinery. Graham had donated a custom piece. I smiled. Nora. I turned. Ava was standing there, looking professional and polished in a black cocktail dress. She had a headset on and a clipboard in her hand. Ava, hi. I didn't know you were coming to this. June invited me. Oh, that's great. She smiled, but it was her work smile. I'm actually coordinating this event, so I'm kind of running around like crazy, but I'm glad you're here. It looks wonderful. You did a great job. She blinked, like she hadn't expected the compliment. Thank you. That means a lot. Someone called her name from across the lawn. I have to go. Do your thing. I'll see you later. She squeezed my arm briefly and hurried off. I watched her go, managing vendors, soothing a guest who looked upset, directing staff with calm efficiency. She was good at this. Really good. And I realized I'd never told her that before. I made a mental note to tell her again later, without the event voice, just person to person. I wandered through the fundraiser, glass of wine in hand, half listening to conversations around me. A couple next to me was debating whether the lighthouse keepers' quarters should be restored to the 1920s period or the 1950s. Authenticity matters, the woman said. But accessibility matters more, the man countered. What's the point of preserving history if nobody can experience it? I moved on before I got pulled into their debate. The band switched to a slower song. A few couples moved to the open area that served as a makeshift dance floor. I found a spot near the edge of the lawn, where the grass met the rocky shore, and looked out at the water. The lighthouse beams swept across the bay in its endless rotation. Light, dark, light, dark. A rhythm older than any of us. Beautiful, isn't it? I turned. Graham was standing beside me, hands in his pockets, looking out at the water. Graham, hi. Hi yourself? He smiled. Didn't expect to see you here. My neighbor dragged me out. Said I needed to be around people. Smart neighbor. She has her moments. I gestured to the silent auction table. I saw you donated a piece. Every year. It's a good cause. This lighthouse has been guiding ships home for over 100 years. Seems worth preserving. Guiding ships home, I repeated. I like that. We stood in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the water. Can I ask you something? He said. Sure. That day at the hospital, when I fixed the table, you seemed, I don't know, like you were carrying something heavy. I looked at him, surprised by his directness. I was, I said. I am. Want to talk about it? I considered lying, deflecting, saying it was nothing. But there was something about Graham, about the way he worked with wood, patient and careful, that made me want to tell the truth. My son got married without telling me, I said. Found out after it already happened? Graham's eyebrows rose. Ouch. Yeah, that's a lot to carry. It is. I took a sip of wine. I keep thinking I should be over it by now. It's been weeks, but I'm not. Why should you be over it? He asked. That's not something you get over. That's something you have to figure out how to live with. The simplicity of his words unlocked something in me. Everyone keeps telling me I need to forgive them, I said. Move on. Let it go. But I don't know how to do that when I'm still so hurt. Yeah, he nodded. Forgiveness isn't a light switch. It's more like sanding a piece of wood. You don't do it all at once. You do it in passes. Rough grit first, then medium, then fine. Each pass makes it a little smoother, but you can't skip steps. You can't rush it. I looked at him. That's really helpful, actually. He shrugged. It's just woodworking, but it applies to most things. The band finished their song and started another one, this time a waltz. Graham turned to me. Would you like to dance? I hesitated. I'm not very good. Neither am I. But the nice thing about waltzes is that everyone's counting the same 3 beats. Hard to mess up too badly. I laughed. Okay, sure. Why not? He led me to the makeshift dance floor, and we found a spot among the other couples. He placed one hand on my waist, held my other hand in his, and we started moving. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. See? He said. Not so bad. You're leading well. Years of practice with my daughter. Father-daughter dances at weddings, school events. She'd stand on my feet when she was little, and we'd waltz around the living room. I smiled at the image. That's sweet. It was, until she got tall enough to step on my feet instead of standing on them. Then it was painful. I laughed, and it felt good. Easy. We danced through the whole song, not talking, just moving together. When it ended, we both stepped back, and he smiled. Thank you for the dance, he said. Thank you for asking. We walked back toward the refreshment table, and I grabbed another glass of wine. So, he said, do you have plans for the rest of the evening? Or are you going to do the polite thing and stay for exactly 1 more hour before sneaking out? I hadn't decided yet. Well, if you're looking for an exit strategy, I'm heading out soon. There's a great little ice cream place down by the wharf. Best salted caramel you've ever had, if you're interested. I looked at him, at his kind eyes and his easy smile, and his hands that knew how to fix broken things. I'm interested, I said. We left the fundraiser together, walking down the hill toward the waterfront. The evening was warm, the air thick with the smell of salt water and summer. The ice cream shop was exactly as he'd described. A tiny place with a line out the door and a menu board with at least 30 flavors. Salted caramel, Graham said when we reached the counter. Trust me. Okay, I'll try it. We got our ice cream and walked out onto the pier, finding a bench overlooking the water. I took a bite. Oh my God, I said. This is incredible. Told you. We sat in comfortable silence, eating our ice cream, watching the boats rock gently in their slips. Can I ask you something? I said. Shoot. How did you get through your divorce? The quiet house. The empty nest. All of it. He was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. Honestly, not well at first. I tried to fill the silence with noise. TV always on, radio in the shop. Kept myself so busy I didn't have time to think. He paused. But eventually, I realized the silence wasn't the enemy. It was just space, and I could choose what to fill it with. What did you fill it with? Work, mostly. But good work. Work I cared about. I stopped taking jobs just for the money and started taking jobs that meant something. Custom pieces for people who really wanted them. Repairs that mattered. He looked at me, and I started saying yes to things that scared me a little, like teaching woodworking classes, like going to fundraisers where I might have to talk to people. I smiled. How's that working out? Pretty well, actually. I'm sitting on a pier with a beautiful woman eating ice cream. Can't complain. I felt my cheeks warm, smooth. I try. He grinned. But seriously, it gets easier. The quiet becomes less scary. And eventually you start to notice things you couldn't hear before. Your own thoughts, your own wants, the sound of your own life, without all the noise. I thought about that. My house had been so quiet since Tyler left for college, and I'd filled it the same way Graham had, with work, with worry, with the constant hum of concern for someone else's life. But maybe the quiet was trying to tell me something. Maybe it was time to listen. We finished our ice cream and walked back toward the parking lot near the museum. The fundraiser was winding down. People were saying their goodbyes, carrying auction items to their cars. "Thank you for tonight," I said. "The dance, the ice cream, the conversation. I needed it." "Any time," Graham said. "And I mean that. If you ever need someone to talk to or just someone to sit in silence with, I'm around." "I'll remember that." He handed me another card. "In case you lost the other ones." I laughed. "I have a collection now." "Good." He paused, then stepped closer. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Would you be interested in having dinner sometime? Actual dinner? Like a date?" My heart did something complicated in my chest. I started, then stopped. Did I want this? Was I ready for this? "You don't have to answer now," he said quickly. "Think about it. No pressure." But the thing was, I didn't need to think about it. "Yes," I said. "I'd like that." His face lit up. "Yeah? Yeah. Okay, good. Great." He was smiling like a teenager who just got asked to prom. "I'll call you. We'll figure out a day." "Sounds good." He squeezed my hand briefly, then walked to his truck. I watched him drive away, then got into my own car. Sat there for a moment, processing. I had a date with a kind, patient man who knew how to fix broken things and didn't rush the process. I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. The next morning, I woke up early and made myself coffee. Sat on my front steps with the mug warming my hands, watching the neighborhood wake up. June came out to get her newspaper and saw me. "Well, well," she said, walking over. "Someone's up early. Good event last night?" "Really good, actually." She sat down next to me. "Tell me everything." So I did. I told her about seeing Ava at the event, about complimenting her work, about dancing with Graham, about ice cream on the pier. "And?" June prompted. "And he asked me to dinner. And I said yes." June's face broke into a huge grin. "Nora, that's wonderful." "Is it?" "I don't know. It feels too soon. Tyler just got married, and I'm still processing all of that and—" "Stop," June said firmly. "Tyler's life is moving forward. That doesn't mean yours has to stay still. You're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to meet someone. You're allowed to have a life that isn't all about being someone's mother." I knew she was right. But it still felt strange, like I was betraying something by moving forward. "What if he calls and I panic?" I asked. "Then you panic, and then you call me, and then you remember that you're a grown woman who deserves good things." I laughed. "Okay. I'm serious, Nora. Don't talk yourself out of this." "I won't," I promised. Graham called on Tuesday. "Hey," he said. "It's Graham, from the ice cream pier." "I remember," I said, smiling. "Good. So, I was thinking, there's this little Italian place near the waterfront. Family owned. Been there for 40 years. Best pasta you've ever had. Would you want to try it? Friday night?" "Friday works." "Great. I'll pick you up at 7. 7 is perfect." When we hung up, I sat there holding the phone, feeling nervous and excited and terrified all at once. I called June. "He asked me to dinner," I said when she picked up. "And?" And I said yes. And now I'm freaking out. Good freak out or bad freak out? I don't know. Both? June laughed. "That's normal. What are you going to wear?" "I have no idea." "Come over. We'll figure it out." Friday arrived faster than I expected. I spent the whole day distracted at work, mixing up names, losing my train of thought mid-sentence. One of my trainees asked if I was feeling okay. "I'm fine," I said. "Just distracted." "Hot date?" she teased. I blushed. "Maybe." She grinned. "Good for you." I left work early and went home to get ready. Showered, did my hair, put on the outfit June and I had picked out. Dark jeans, a soft blue blouse, a light jacket. Simple, comfortable. Me. At exactly 7, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Graham standing there in a button-down shirt and nice jeans, holding a single sunflower. "For you," he said. "I know roses are traditional, but I figured you might like something a little less predictable." "I love it," I said, taking the flower. "Let me put this in water." I found a vase, filled it, set the sunflower on the kitchen counter where I'd see it every day. Then I grabbed my purse, and we left. The restaurant was everything he'd promised. Small, cozy, with red and white checkered tablecloths and candles on every table. The owner greeted Graham by name. "Graham, so good to see you. And who is this lovely lady?" "This is Nora. Nora, this is Antonio. Best chef on the East Coast." Antonio kissed my hand. "Any friend of Graham's is family here. Come, come. I have the perfect table for you." He led us to a corner table by the window, overlooking the water. We sat down, and Antonio brought us menus and a basket of warm bread. "The special tonight is osso buco," he said. "But everything is good. You can't go wrong." When he left, Graham smiled at me across the table. "This okay?" he asked. "It's perfect." We ordered. I got the seafood risotto, he got the osso buco, and settled in. "So," he said, "tell me something about yourself that I don't know." "That's a broad question." "Start anywhere." I thought about it. "Okay. I used to be a nurse. ER nurse, actually. For 15 years. Then I transitioned to teaching because I was burning out. Too many night shifts, too much death. I needed to still be in healthcare, but at a distance." "That makes sense. Do you miss it?" "Sometimes. I miss the adrenaline, the feeling of saving someone's life. But I don't miss the exhaustion or the nightmares." "Nightmares?" I nodded. "You see enough people die, it stays with you. I used to dream about patients I couldn't save. It got bad for a while." "I'm sorry." "It's okay. It made me a better teacher, I think. I know what I'm preparing people for. The real stuff, not just the textbook stuff." He nodded thoughtfully. "What made you want to be a nurse in the first place?" "My mum," I said. "She was sick when I was a teenager. Cancer. I spent a lot of time in hospitals with her, and I saw how much difference a good nurse could make, how much comfort they could provide. I wanted to be that for people." "Did she make it? Your mom?" "No. She died when I was 17. "I'm sorry," he said again, and the way he said it, simple, sincere, made it feel like he really meant it. "It was a long time ago," I said, "but it shaped a lot of who I became." Our food arrived, and we ate and talked. He told me about his daughter, Emma, who was living in Seattle now, working for a tech company. "She's doing great," he said. I'm proud of her. But I miss her. We used to talk every week, and now it's more like once a month. She's busy, building her life. That's hard, I said. It is. But it's also what you want, right? For your kids to grow up and not need you anymore. In theory, I said. In practice, it's brutal. He laughed. Yeah, it really is. We talked about everything. His divorce, my late husband, the challenge of starting over in middle age, the fear that the best parts of life were behind us. But maybe they're not, Graham said. Maybe the best parts are just different now, quieter, but deeper. I like that, I said. When we finished eating, Antonio brought us tiramisu to share. On the house, he said, for the beautiful couple. We didn't correct him. After dinner, Graham drove me home, walked me to my door. We stood there on the porch, the night warm around us. I had a really good time, I said. Me too. He paused. Can I see you again? I'd like that. Good. He smiled, then leaned in and kissed my cheek. Gentle, brief, respectful. Good night, Nora. Good night, Graham. I watched him drive away, then went inside, closed the door and leaned against it, smiling like a fool. I felt like a teenager, and it felt wonderful. The next morning, I woke up to a text from Tyler. Tyler. Hey, Mom, can we talk? My heart sank. That phrase never meant anything good. Me. Of course. Call me when you're free. My phone rang 2 minutes later. Hey, honey, I said. What's going on? I need some advice, he said, and his voice was tight, stressed. Okay, I'm listening. We're having some money trouble. Nothing major, just we're behind on a few things. And I don't know what to do. My old instinct kicked in immediately. Offer to help. Write a check. Fix it. But I caught myself. Tell me more, I said instead. We've got some medical bills from Ava's insurance not covering something they said they would, and our rent just went up. And I've got some invoices that clients are taking forever to pay. It's just piling up. That sounds stressful. It is, and I feel like an idiot, like I should have this figured out by now. Tyler, you're 25. Nobody has it figured out at 25. You did. I laughed. No, I really didn't. Your dad and I were broke until we were 30. We lived on ramen and hope. Really? Really. Being an adult is mostly just figuring it out as you go. He was quiet for a moment. So, what should I do? Do you know a good accountant? I asked. Not really. I can give you a name. Someone I trust. He can help you look at your budget, figure out payment plans for the bills, maybe help you with the invoice situation. Okay. Yeah. That would help. And Tyler? Yeah? I'm not going to write you a check. Silence. What? He said finally. I'm not going to write you a check. I'll give you the accountant's name. I'll sit with you while you call him if you want. But I'm not giving you money. Mum, I wasn't asking. I know, but I need you to hear me. I love you. I want you to succeed. But part of that means letting you figure this out on your own. More silence. Then, okay. Just that. Okay. I'm proud of you for asking for advice instead of just panicking, I said. That's growth. Thanks, Mom. I'll text you the accountant's number. Okay. And Mom? Yeah? I'm sorry. About the wedding. About all of it. I've been thinking about it a lot and I'm sorry. My throat tightened. Thank you for saying that. I mean it. I know you do. We said our goodbyes, and I hung up. Sat there for a moment, processing. I'd just turned down an opportunity to help my son, and it had felt right. Not easy, but right. I texted him the accountant's information, then set my phone down. June was right. Boundaries weren't punishment. They were love. Love that trusted people to figure things out. Love that didn't try to rescue. Love that said, I believe in you enough to let you struggle. That afternoon, I was cleaning out my kitchen junk drawer, one of those tasks you avoid until you can't find anything anymore, when I came across Graham's business cards. I had 3 of them now. I smiled and tucked them all into one spot, then pulled out my phone. Me. Thank you again for dinner last night. I had a wonderful time. His response came quickly. Graham. Me too. When can I see you again? Me. I'm free this weekend. Graham. Come by the shop tomorrow. I'll show you what I'm working on. We can grab lunch after. Me. Sounds perfect. I spent the rest of the day with a stupid grin on my face. Saturday morning, I drove to Harbour Joinery. The shop looked different in daylight, brighter, more inviting. I walked in, and the bell chimed. Graham emerged from the back, covered in sawdust, safety glasses perched on his head. Hey, he said, grinning. You came. I said I would. Come on. I want to show you something. He led me to the back workshop. It was a beautiful mess. Wood everywhere. Tools on every surface. The smell of fresh-cut lumber and wood glue. In the center of the room was a partially finished rocking chair. This, he said, is what I'm working on right now. Custom order for a woman whose grandmother had a chair just like this. She wants one for her daughter. I ran my hand over the smooth armrest. It's beautiful. It's getting there. See this curve? He pointed to the back. I'm steaming it slowly. Can't rush it. If I do, it'll crack. You really love this, don't you? I do. There's something about taking a raw piece of wood and turning it into something useful, something beautiful, something that'll last. He picked up a piece of sandpaper and started working on one of the arms, demonstrating his technique. You go with the grain, he said. Always with the grain, never against it. And you don't press too hard. Let the sandpaper do the work. I watched him, mesmerized by the careful attention he gave to every detail. Want to try? He asked, offering me the sandpaper. I'll probably mess it up. You won't. And even if you do, that's what the next pass is for. Remember? Rough, medium, fine. We've got time to fix mistakes. I took the sandpaper and carefully sanded a section of the arm. Like this. Exactly like that. You're a natural. We worked together for a while in comfortable silence. Then he set down his tools and looked at me. I really like you, Nora. My heart jumped. I really like you too. Good. He smiled. Because I was thinking, there's a jazz festival next month, down by the waterfront. Would you want to go with me? I'd love to. He kissed me then. Not on the cheek this time. A real kiss. Warm and certain and full of promise. When we pulled apart, we were both smiling. Now, he said, how about that lunch? We had lunch at a small deli near the waterfront, the kind of place where they know everyone's order, and the sandwiches are so big you need both hands. Graham ordered a Reuben. I got turkey and avocado. We sat outside at a picnic table, watching tourists take selfies with the harbour in the background. So, Graham said between bites, tell me about your son. If you want to, I mean. You don't have to. I wiped my hands on a napkin. His name is Tyler. He's 25. Smart, funny, stubborn as hell. Gets that from me. What does he do? He's a freelance graphic designer. Does well when the work is steady, struggles when it's not, which is most of the time, honestly. That's a tough field. It is, and he's learning that the hard way. I paused. He called me yesterday, asked for advice about money trouble. Did you help him? I gave him an accountant's name, but I didn't give him money. Graham nodded slowly. That must have been hard. It was. Everything in me wanted to just fix it, write a check, make the problem go away. But I sighed. I've been doing that his whole life, and I think it's done more harm than good. Rescuing people doesn't teach them how to swim, Graham said. Exactly. We finished our lunch and walked along the waterfront, past the ferry terminal and the tour boat docks. My daughter used to call me for money all the time, Graham said. First year out of college, every month, something. Car insurance, security deposit, emergency dental work. And every time I'd send it. What changed? My ex-wife told me I was crippling her. That Emma would never learn to budget if I kept bailing her out. So I stopped. Told Emma I loved her, but I wasn't going to be her backup plan anymore. How'd she take it? Terribly. Didn't talk to me for 3 months. But then she figured it out. Got a roommate. Started meal planning. Learned to say no to things she couldn't afford. And you know what? She's better off for it. Do you think she resents you for it? Maybe a little. But she also respects me more. I can feel it when we talk. It's not me taking care of her anymore. It's two adults having a conversation. I nodded, understanding exactly what he meant. We walked in silence for a while, just enjoying the afternoon. Then Graham stopped and turned to me. I know we've only been on 2 dates, he said, but I want you to know something. I'm not looking for casual. I'm too old for games. If we're doing this, I want to do it right. My heart was pounding. What does right mean to you? Honesty? Communication? Actually showing up for each other, not pretending everything's fine when it's not. I can do that, I said. Good. He smiled, because I really think this could be something. I think so too. He took my hand, and we kept walking. The following week, I got a text from Ava. Ava. Hi, Nora. Tyler and I were wondering if you'd want to come over for dinner next Sunday. Nothing fancy, just us. We want to talk. I stared at the text for a long moment. The old me would have immediately said yes, would have been grateful just to be included. But I wasn't that person anymore. Me. What do you want to talk about? Ava. Just everything. We've been doing a lot of thinking since we last saw you. We owe you a real conversation. Me. Okay. What time? Ava. 6 E. Me. I'll be there. Sunday arrived with grey skies and the threat of rain. I dressed simply, jeans and a sweater, and drove to Tyler and Ava's apartment across town. It was a small place, second floor of an old building, the kind with creaky stairs and radiators that clanked. I knocked, and Tyler opened the door. Hey, Mum. Hey, honey. He hugged me, and this time it lasted longer. Felt more real. Ava was in the kitchen, stirring something on the stove. The apartment smelled like garlic and tomatoes. Hi, Nora, she said, coming over to hug me. Thanks for coming. Of course. Tyler took my jacket and hung it up. We're making pasta. Hope that's okay. It's perfect. We sat down at their small kitchen table, one of those wobbly ones from IKEA that never quite sits flat no matter how many times you adjust the legs. Tyler poured 3 glasses of wine, and Ava brought over a plate of cheese and crackers. So, Tyler said, sitting down, we wanted to talk to you about the wedding. I nodded, waiting. Ava took a deep breath. I need to tell you something, and it's not easy to say. Okay. The wedding wasn't spontaneous. We planned it. For weeks. We picked that date specifically. We bought the clothes, hired a photographer, invited specific people, and we chose not to invite you. The honesty was like a slap, but also a relief. Why? I asked quietly. Ava looked down at her hands. Because I was ashamed. Of me? Of my family. Her voice cracked. My mom's an alcoholic. My dad left when I was 8. My brother Owen is the only functional person in my entire family tree. And when Tyler would talk about you, about how close you two were, about all the things you'd done for him, I felt like I couldn't compete with that. She looked up at me, eyes wet. I didn't want you at our wedding because I was afraid you'd see my family and judge me for it. I was afraid Tyler's perfect mom would look at my mess of a family and realize I wasn't good enough for him. I sat back in my chair, absorbing this. So you excluded me to protect yourself? I said. Yes. And it was wrong. So wrong. And I'm sorry. Tyler reached over and took Ava's hand. I went along with it because I was scared too. Not of you judging Ava's family, but of you trying to fix everything. Of you offering to pay for things we couldn't afford. Of the wedding becoming about what you wanted instead of what we wanted. And, he continued, his voice shaking, I was scared to tell you no. I've never been good at telling you no, so instead of having a hard conversation, I just didn't include you at all. The silence that followed was heavy, but it was an honest silence. Finally, I spoke. Thank you for telling me the truth. All of it. That couldn't have been easy. It wasn't, Ava said, but you deserve the truth. I do. I paused. And you need to know something too. I have been trying to fix things, to smooth everything over with money and help and constant involvement. And I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry I made you feel like you couldn't just tell me what you needed. You were just being a mum, Tyler said. I was being a controlling mum, I corrected gently. There's a difference between support and suffocation, and I crossed that line. A lot. Ava wiped her eyes. So where do we go from here? I thought about it, about Graham and his woodworking philosophy, about June's question. What do you need that doesn't depend on their good behavior? I think we need some ground rules, I said. If we're going to move forward, we need to be honest with each other. No more secrets. No more pretending. Okay, Tyler said. What kind of rules? Well, for starters, if you need advice, ask me. If you need help, ask me. But I'm not going to offer any more. And I'm not going to give you money without a plan attached. Tyler nodded. That's fair. And, I continued, you need to tell me when I'm overstepping. Not behind my back. Not by excluding me. Just say, Mum, this is too much. Can you do that? I can try, he said. Trying is good enough for now. Ava smiled through her tears. I have a rule too, if that's okay. Of course. Can we do regular dinners? Like once a month? Just us 3? No phones? No distractions? Just family time? I'd love that, I said. Tyler stood up. The pasta's probably ready. Let me get it. He brought over a big bowl of spaghetti with marinara sauce. Simple. Homemade. A little burned on the edges. It was perfect. We ate and talked for hours. About Tyler's business struggles. About Ava's family. About my new relationship with Graham. Wait, you're dating someone? Tyler said, grinning. Mom, that's great. It's early, I said. But yeah, he's nice. Patient. Makes me laugh. What does he do? He's a carpenter. Makes custom furniture? Ava's eyes lit up. Oh, I love custom furniture. Does he have a website? I pulled up Harbour Joinery on my phone and showed them. Mum, this stuff is beautiful, Tyler said, scrolling through the photos. He is pretty talented. When do we get to meet him? Ava asked. I hesitated. Let's take it slow, okay? I'm still figuring out what this is. Fair enough, Tyler said. But I'm happy for you. You deserve this. Those words meant more than he knew. Around 9 o'clock, I stood up to leave. Tyler walked me to the door. Thanks for coming, Mum, and for being honest with us. Thank you for being honest with me. He hugged me tight. I love you. I love you too, honey. As I walked to my car, I realized something. The conversation hadn't fixed everything. We still had work to do, trust to rebuild, patterns to break. But it was a start. And sometimes that's all you need. A start. Over the next few weeks, life settled into a new rhythm. I taught my classes, had coffee with June, went on dates with Graham. Tyler and I texted regularly. Nothing deep, just photos, funny memes, updates about our days, small things, but real things. One Saturday morning, I was at the farmer's market when I ran into someone I didn't expect. Owen, Ava's brother. He was in his paramedic uniform, clearly just getting off a shift, buying coffee from one of the vendors. Nora, he said, surprised. Hey. Owen, hi. We stood there awkwardly for a moment. I wanted to tell you something, he said finally. About the wedding. Okay. Ava regretted it. Immediately. The day after, she called me crying, saying she'd made a huge mistake. She wanted to call you, but she didn't know how. I nodded slowly. She told me. We talked about it. Good. That's good. He paused. She's had a hard time, you know. Our family, it's complicated. She's spent her whole life trying to prove she's not like them, and sometimes that makes her do stupid things. I get it, I said, and I don't blame her. We're working through it. She's lucky to have you, Owen said. Tyler is too. I'm the lucky one, I said, and meant it. We said our goodbyes, and I continued shopping, but his words stayed with me. Ava had regretted it immediately. She'd wanted to call, but didn't know how. I understood that feeling. Sometimes the hardest calls to make are the ones to the people we've hurt. A few days later, I was at home when I got a text from Graham. Graham, come to the shop tonight. I have something to show you. Me, mysterious. What time? Graham, 7 too? Me. See you then? At 7, I pulled up to Harbour Joinery. The lights were on inside, but the closed sign was hanging on the door. I knocked, and Graham appeared, grinning. Come in, come in. I stepped inside. The shop had been transformed. String lights hung from the ceiling. A record player in the corner was playing soft jazz. And in the center of the room was a table set for 2, with candles and wine glasses. Graham, what is this? Dinner? He said. I thought, why go out when I can cook here? Plus, I wanted to show off my favorite place. You cooked. Well, Antonio cooked. I picked it up. But I set the table myself. That counts for something, right? I laughed. It counts for a lot. We sat down, and he served us. Lasagna, salad, fresh bread. This is incredible, I said. I wanted to do something special. To thank you. Thank me for what? For being patient with me. For letting me move at my own pace. For not running away when I told you about my messy divorce and my daughter who barely calls. He paused. You're easy to be around, Nora. And that's rare. So are you, I said softly. We ate and talked and laughed. After dinner, he stood up and held out his hand. Dance with me? Here? Why not? I took his hand, and we danced in his workshop, surrounded by wood shavings and half-finished projects, to a jazz song that felt like it was written just for us. He held me close, and I rested my head on his shoulder. I'm really glad I met you, I whispered. Me too. Later that night, sitting in his truck outside my house, Graham turned to me. I want to tell you something. And you don't have to say anything back. I just need to say it. Okay. I'm falling for you, Nora. Fast and hard, and in a way I didn't think was possible anymore. And it scares the hell out of me. But it also feels right. So I just wanted you to know. My heart was pounding. I'm falling for you too, I said. And it terrifies me, but in a good way. He smiled, relieved. Good terrifying or bad terrifying? The kind where you jump even though you're scared, because the alternative is staying still forever. He leaned over and kissed me, and this time it wasn't gentle or brief. It was deep and certain and full of promise. When we finally pulled apart, we were both breathless. Do you want to come inside? I asked. Are you sure? I'm sure. We went inside, and what happened next was tender and real and exactly what we both needed. The next morning, I woke up with Graham beside me. Sunlight was streaming through the blinds, making stripes across the floor. He was still asleep, one arm draped over me, breathing slow and steady. I lay there for a moment, just taking it in. This man, this moment, this unexpected second chance. Eventually he stirred and opened his eyes. Morning, he said, smiling. Morning. Any regrets? None. You? Not even one? We got up and made breakfast together. Eggs and toast and coffee that tasted better than it should have. June texted me while we were eating. June. I see an unfamiliar truck in your driveway. Should I be expecting wedding bells? I laughed and showed Graham. Your neighbour's watching us, I said. Good. Let her watch. I'm not hiding. I texted June back. Me. Mind your business. But also, yes, he stayed over. And before you ask, it was wonderful. June. Details later. I'm so happy for you. A month later, Tyler and Ava invited me to their apartment again. This time, Owen was there too. We wanted to do something, Ava said. To celebrate. Officially. She handed me a small box. Inside was a photo in a beautiful wooden frame. The wedding photo, but matted with a handwritten note. To Nora. We're sorry we didn't include you the first time, but you're included now. Always. Love, Tyler, and Ava. I felt tears prick my eyes. This is beautiful. Owen helped me pick out the frame, Ava said. He said you'd appreciate good craftsmanship. I do. We had dinner. Ava's attempt at lasagna, which was better than Tyler's burned pasta, but still a little dry, and it was perfect. Afterward, as I was getting ready to leave, Tyler stopped me. Mum, I have something to show you. He pulled out a binder, colour-coded tabs, receipts in sleeves, a budget spreadsheet, printed and highlighted. I met with the accountant you recommended, 3 times, actually. And look. He opened to a page showing his income and expenses, clearly organised. I'm getting it, he said. It's slow, but I'm getting it. I looked at him, really looked at him. He wasn't the boy who needed me to rescue him anymore. He was a man figuring out his own life. I'm so proud of you, I said, and meant it with everything in me. He hugged me. Thanks for not just fixing it for me. I know that was hard. It was. But you needed to do it yourself. I did. That evening, I went home and called Graham. Come over, I said. I want to tell you about my day. I'll be there in 20 minutes. When he arrived, we sat on my couch with mugs of tea, and I told him everything about the photo, the binder, the way Tyler was finally growing up. Sounds like you did something right, Graham said. I stopped doing the wrong thing. That's different. But still important. He was right. Fall arrived, painting the trees in reds and golds. Graham and I went to the jazz festival like he'd promised. We danced under the stars while strangers clapped along. Tyler and Ava came over for our monthly dinner. This time, they brought Graham's favourite beer and a board game that turned competitive and hilarious. June hosted Thanksgiving, and I brought Graham as my +1. Tyler and Ava were there. Owen came too. We were a strange little family, cobbled together from broken pieces. But we were family nonetheless. One December evening, as the first snow started to fall, I stood at my kitchen window, the same window where I'd stood the day I got the phone call. The lilacs were bare now, their purple blooms long gone. But they'd bloom again in spring. That's what they do. They weather the winter, and then they come back. I thought about the word yesterday. It used to feel like a wound, a sharp, painful reminder of what I'd missed. But now it felt different. It felt like a note in a chord, something that made today sound fuller. Yesterday taught me what I didn't want. Today showed me what I did. And tomorrow? Tomorrow was wide open. On Christmas Eve, Graham and I hosted dinner at my house. Tyler and Ava brought wine. Owen brought pie. June brought her famous green bean casserole that nobody actually likes, but we all pretend to. We squeezed around my dining table, the one that used to seat just me and Tyler, now full of people I'd chosen and who'd chosen me back. Before we ate, I stood up. I want to say something, I announced. Everyone looked at me. This year, I learned something important. I learned that being ready to show up doesn't always mean you'll be chosen. But I also learned that being excluded from one moment doesn't mean you're excluded from joy. It just means you have to choose it for yourself. I looked around the table at these faces, some related by blood, some by choice, all precious. I'm choosing joy, I said. I'm choosing honesty. I'm choosing people who tell me the truth even when it's hard. And I'm choosing to build a life that's mine, not just a life lived in service of someone else. Graham raised his glass. To choosing joy. To choosing joy, everyone echoed. We clinked glasses and drank and laughed. And as I looked around the table, I realized something. I'd been ready to be the mother who showed up, but I got to be so much more than that. I got to be a woman who built a life on her own terms, a woman who loved without losing herself, a woman who set boundaries and kept them, a woman who found unexpected love in a woodworker's shop, a woman who learned that forgiveness isn't a light switch. It's sanding passes, rough to fine, taking time. I was that woman now, and I liked her. After dinner, we moved to the living room. Graham built a fire. Owen told embarrassing stories about Ava's childhood. Tyler and Ava curled up on the couch like teenagers, finally relaxed, finally themselves. June caught my eye from across the room and mouthed, "You did good." I mouthed back, "We did good." Because that's the truth. We don't heal alone. We heal in community, in honesty, in the messy, beautiful work of showing up for each other. Later, as people were leaving, Tyler pulled me aside. "Mom, I've been thinking." About? About Dad. about what he'd think of all this, of Graham, of how things are now. I touched his cheek. Your dad would be proud of you, of the man you're becoming, of the way you're learning to ask for help instead of pretending you don't need it. You think he'd like Graham? I know he would. Your dad liked anyone who told the truth and fixed what was broken. Graham does both. Tyler smiled. Good. Because I like him too. Yeah? Yeah. He makes you happy. That's all I ever wanted. That night, after everyone left, Graham and I cleaned up together. Washing dishes side by side, putting away leftovers, the ordinary intimacy of shared labor. This was a good day, he said. It was. You've built something beautiful here, Nora. This family, this life. We built it, I corrected. You're part of this now. He dried his hands and pulled me close. I love you, he said. I know it's fast. I know we're still figuring this out. But I love you. I love you too, I said, and the words felt like coming home. We stood in my kitchen, holding each other, while the snow fell softly outside. And I thought about yesterday one more time, the word that used to hurt, the word that used to feel like a door slammed in my face. Now it just felt like what it was, a marker of time, a place I'd been, a lesson I'd learned. Yesterday taught me where not to stand waiting. Today is the place I set the table. And when the music starts, in my kitchen, in someone else's kitchen, in the workshop of a carpenter who knows how to fix broken things, I count to 3 and step into the dance. I make my circle wide enough for the people who tell the truth and come hungry, wide enough for second chances and unexpected love, wide enough for sons who grow up and daughters-in-law who find their way and neighbors who show up with coffee when you need it most, wide enough for forgiveness that happens in passes, not all at once, wide enough for a life that holds both the surprise you didn't want and the one that arrived right on time. I was ready to be the mother who showed up. It turns out I get to be a woman who does too. And that's more than enough. That's everything. If this story touched you, if you've ever been excluded by someone you love, if you've ever had to learn the hard way that boundaries aren't walls but bridges, if you've ever discovered that the life you have isn't the one you planned, but it's beautiful anyway, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me, what does yesterday mean to you? Is it still a wound, or have you found a way to make it part of your story? If this resonated with you, hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to know that being left out of one moment doesn't mean you're locked out of joy. Subscribe to this channel because we're building something here. A community of people who believe in telling the truth, showing up authentically, and choosing joy even when it's hard. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to Nora's story. Thank you for being part of this family. Until next time, remember, you deserve to be both the person who shows up and the person who lives fully. See you in the next story. God bless you.